Alright guys, so today I'm going to be doing CHING number 76. So we're just going to start in where we left off. And the last thing that I left off on was a Chevrolet racing jacket. Eric and I picked this up at a yard sale. I do feel like he paid maybe $20 for it, and that sold for $63.99. I remember when we got them, the lady said she had just gotten them dry cleaned as well, so that was nice. Next we have a vintage coloring book. This was Lady Lovely Locks, so any of my fellow 80s kids might remember Lady Lovely Locks. I used to have a couple of Lady Lovely Locks dolls. This coloring book I found at a yard sale, and it had never been colored in, surprisingly. I mean, sometimes you can still find older coloring books that haven't actually been colored in. I don't know how that happens. But they are out there. And this one here sold for $29.99. I'm pretty sure I paid maybe the most $1 for it, but more than likely it was probably like 50 cents or a quarter. Next item we have is a bracelet. I didn't see any markings on this bracelet, so I'm not sure like the brand or anything like that, but that did come from a yard sale, and I'm pretty sure that came from that box of jewelry I got at the yard sale for $5. I had 4-leaf clovers all over it. Really pretty bracelet that sold for $12.99. Next item we have is another Jack Daniel's item. I think this is the only Jack Daniel's item in this CHING, but this one was a wood display, and it came with the glasses as well, and that sold for $289.99, and Eric and I purchased that at an auction where we bought like a bunch of other Jack Daniel's stuff. So if you've watched my other CHINGs, you have seen a lot of Jack Daniel's stuff has gone. I do still have a few pieces left, not a whole lot, but they do, you know, still sell. Next we have this was a necklace pendant, so it was missing the chain that it would have originally been on, but it was this huge pendant. This was marked Napier, and it was a bobcat. I mean, it was a really large necklace pendant. I won this at an auction on a tray of jewelry, and it was pretty much just this pendant that I was after on that tray because I was seeing that they were selling pretty high. And that actually sold for $42.99, so that was a fun and interesting find. Next item we have is a TORRID shirt that said "Sold my soul to rock and roll." That sold for $19.99, and I did pick that up at a thrift store. I'm pretty sure I got it on like a half off day. And you guys know I like picking up TORRID. Some of it sells quick and some of it doesn't, so it just, I guess, all depends on the size and what people are, you know, currently searching for, type of thing. Next item I have is a Barbie doll. This one was a 35th anniversary Barbie doll, to look like the one that came out in 1959, but it was a reproduction. It wasn't, you know, the actual old Barbie doll. These were still selling, and you know, obviously they'll sell for more if they're in their box. Not a whole lot, and I'm talking about the reproduction dolls. But I won this at an auction. I didn't pay much for her, but it did sell for $12.99. Next item I have is a Fossil patchwork crossbody purse. Eric actually found this at Goodwill. I remember it was when I was filming the one day at Goodwill, and he came over with it and asked me if I was interested in it because he knows I like fossil purses, and he knows I like to sell fossil purses, and I decided to pick this one up, and I'm glad I did. That sold for $53. Next item I have also came from a thrift store. This is a facial beauty mask. I found them in a bag. It was 2 different face masks in there, and they were both still sealed. This one, they were both by a company called Glossier, and this one was called the Moon Mask, and that sold for $25.99. Next item I have is a pair of Rocket Dog clog shoes. So Rocket Dog, I think, is a decent brand to resell. Again, just depends on the style and the size and stuff like that. But these sold fairly quickly for a price of $39.99. And I'd say I paid maybe $5 max for those. Next we have, I did show one of these, I think it might have been in my last CHING, and I had said that I had more that also sold. So I'm pretty sure I found 3 of them at a yard sale and I bought all of them. There might have been more, but regardless, this was an older WINSTON Cup Series hat that sold for $29.99. And again, that came from a yard sale and I probably paid about $1 for it. Next item we have is a pair of men's Hanover shoes. These were boots, like dress boots. Those sold for $39.99, and I'm pretty sure they came from a yard sale where I paid $1 for them. I sold a Bath & Body Works penguin shaped case that had 3 different Bath & Body Works sprays in them. It was like a little gift set. It was still brand new. I got that at a yard sale as well, and I feel like I paid maybe $2 or $3 for it, and that sold for $24.99. Next item was for a lot of 2. These are vintage Newport matchbooks. Eric had gotten a box of these at a yard sale for not much at all, and we've been selling them as lots of 2. We still have some left, but they do sell every now and then, and those are selling for a lot of 2 for $9.99, and I'd say he paid $2 or $3 for the box. So it's definitely been, you know, not a whole lot of profit, but, you know, just a nice little sale here and there when they go. Next we have a tart warmer. This was marked, and it was a German pottery brand. I picked this up at a like church parking lot yard sale, and I feel like I paid maybe $1 or $2 for it, and that sold for $17.99. This next item came from an auction. It was a vintage from 1983 Nintendo Mario Brothers little like electronic handheld game. I had never seen this before, neither had Eric. But we were like, ooh, wow, you know, that's really cool. And I love picking up vintage toys, especially like vintage toy, like electronic type items. And I remember we won this at the auction, and it was getting towards like the end of the auction. So, you know, people are leaving and, you know, they're pretty much finished with everything. So I swear, I think we paid maybe $3 for it, maybe $5 at the most. So that was a great price, and we sold that for $99.99. Next item was a Suzanne Somers face cleanser. I got a box of just various Suzanne Somers skincare items at a yard sale last year. I think I paid $5 for the box, and I have been selling the various pieces from out of that box, and that one sold for $25.99. Next item we have is a Disney Grumpy mug. This did come from the thrift store. I'm pretty sure it was in like a shoebox full of some other random mugs, and that sold for $19.99. Next item we have is another one of those WINSTON Cup Series hats. I told you guys I bought all of them at the yard sale, and I'm pretty sure every single one of them has sold. So that was a great find. If I ever would happen to find them again, I would definitely pick them up. This one sold for the same price as the others of $29.99. I sold a Sarah Coventry bracelet. I'm pretty sure this also came from that $5 jewelry box. There's always an instance where it might have come from like a jewelry tray at the auction, but regardless, that sold for $12.99. This next item was a pair of women's ballet flat shoes. They were by a company called Pops. They were an Italian brand. I had never heard of them before. I found them in a thrift store. I'd say I paid maybe $3 or $4 for them, and those sold for $19.99. I thought that they would sell for a little bit more, but you know, that's all I got for them, and they did sit for a while. So it was a nice brand, but I don't think it was a brand that people are really looking for type of thing. Next item was a pair of women's Ariat cowboy boots. These sold for $79.99. These came from a yard sale, and I think I paid maybe $1 to $2 for them. I remember I was like so like blown away, like, you know, these people don't know what they have kind of thing, or they do and they just don't care. I don't know, but typically the Ariat brand does sell pretty well. Next we have a die-cast Chevy red pickup truck. This was something that I wanted to bid on at the auction. I can't remember exactly what I paid for it, but I know it wasn't a whole lot. That sold for $59.99. I don't know a whole lot about trucks and die-cast trucks and vehicles and that type of thing, but I am learning it. Like when I see it at the auction, I will do some research on them and kind of figure out which ones are worth the most money and that type of thing. So when I saw this one, I looked it up and I saw that it was selling pretty decently. Plus, at the same time, it reminds you of those red trucks that they come out with. Like at Christmas time, you always see that red truck like everywhere, and it reminded me of that too. So I figured not only would someone who maybe collects die-cast trucks and stuff like that, but even someone who wants to decorate with it for Christmas, like to put a little like a bottle brush tree in the back or something like that, I thought would be really cute. Next we have an Avon Mineral Blush that sold for $10.99. I had gotten a bunch of Avon products, a bunch of Avon makeup items at an auction, so in the grand scheme of things, this probably cost me like 50 cents. Next we have a brand new, this was still sealed, from 2016 Hatchimals toy. So this would have been like the first Hatchimals that they came out with, that came out in 2016. Eric and I purchased 2 of these at a yard sale. That sold for $80, and I think we paid $20 for it. This was an old oyster tin, M.E. Tompkin oyster tin. Eric and I won this at an auction. Oyster tins, for whatever reason, some of them can sell really, really well. I know at the auction when they come up, people will pay a decent price for them, and I was always like, why are people paying so much for these oyster tins? Like, what is with oyster tins? So I looked it up, and lo and behold, like, they're selling really, really high. Obviously not all of them. This one was in like pristine condition, absolutely beautiful condition considering its age. And it still had its lid and everything, because sometimes you see them like at the auction and they're like rusty or like missing their lid and stuff like that. This one sold for $200, so that was an awesome sale. We have tried winning some oyster tins since then, but they're selling for like higher than what we could make a decent profit on to resell it. Next item we have is a Bratz doll. This one was of Yasmin dressed up as a space angel. Got her at a yard sale. I'm pretty sure I paid about $3 for her, and she sold for $53.99, which is awesome because I would say I know Bratz are like hot again. People are wanting to repurchase, you know, the dolls that they had as children. Not all of them are really great sellers. This one was loose, so it wasn't in the packaging. So I was kind of a little bit surprised at the price that it did sell for. But I will say, as disclaimer, not everything Bratz is gonna sell for a really high price. I have like a boy loose Bratz doll that I've had listed for quite a while. I think he's listed at like maybe $12 and some change, and he still is, he's going nowhere basically. Next item we have did go to a subscriber. This was a Franklin Mint F15. This went to Jackie and sold for $199.99. Eric and I picked this up at a auction. Again, it was something that I didn't really know a whole much about. I mean, I know Franklin Mint stuff is usually on the pricey side, but it was one of those things where I looked it up and saw that it was selling really high and decided to bid on it, type of thing. And I think that was the same auction that die-cast Chevy pickup truck came from as well, because there was a lot of like older vehicles and toys and stuff like that still in the packaging. Next item we have is a Coach purse. I got this at a yard sale for $5 and that sold for $49.99. I will say another disclaimer with Coach purses, not all Coach purses sell for a lot of money. I know that there are some people who won't even bother picking them up because they don't have the best resale value. And I will say that there are some designs that don't hold the best resale value. There are still Coach purses out there that are desirable and will sell for a decent price. So it's just a matter of, if you're finding one, what kind of condition it's in, what the print is, the style, and that kind of thing to help determine a little bit more about which ones to pick up. I don't always know which ones to pick up, but this one was a nice large one, and for $5, you know, that's a no-brainer in my opinion for $5. Next item we have is a pearl bracelet. This was marked $14K by a brand called CACO. This did come from the $5 box of jewelry that I had gotten at the yard sale, and it sold for $25.99. I did sell a Department 56 Halloween ornament. This one was of a fuzzy spider, and that sold for $39.99. I still am selling Halloween ornaments throughout the year. People are still purchasing them. Next item we have was a tapestry blanket. This one was a Remington tapestry. Eric picked this up at a yard sale. I'm not sure, I don't remember what he paid for it. I'd say maybe like $5 tops. And that sold for $59.99. Some tapestry throws can sell well. Others, I feel like, you know, sit for a while. But I have sold some that, you know, once I purchased them, they weren't sitting for very long at all. And then others are sitting. So I think it just depends, obviously, like what exactly is on the throw itself. Let's see, next item I have was a French butter keeper. This was a really nice piece of pottery. I picked this up at a yard sale. I'd say I spent $2 or $3 for it, and that sold for $29.99, and that did go overseas. Next item went to a subscriber named Amy. She purchased a little pack of Beekman essential oils. There were 3 bottles of essential oils in the box. Those came from an auction where I had won like a bunch of Beekman candles and stuff like that, and there was like a few other Beekman items in that like tray, and those sold for $15.99. I really come to like that brand. I have a couple of pieces that I use on a daily basis. Next item I have actually came from that same auction where I purchased the Beekman stuff. This was a vintage from 1978 Barbie doll. This was called the Kissing Barbie. This was still in its original packaging, but the packaging was open, but all of her stuff was still in there and everything like that. Apparently she's a harder one to come by. She sold for $99.99. And I can't remember exactly what I paid for her. I want to say around maybe $30-some I paid for her. Next item I have is a pair of iPath checker boots. I found these at a yard sale, paid $3 for them, and those sold for $99.99. So definitely a good brand. If I would ever see again in my travels, I would pick up. Next item we have is a set of vintage. These were like patio or RV string lights made out of canvas yarn. Like obviously someone handmade these. They were really cute, very kitschy. I picked those up at a yard sale. I'd say I paid maybe $3 or $4 for them, and those sold for $39.99. I would say most of the like patio camper type lights that I have found to resell have sold. I do still have like a very large one that hasn't sold yet, but all of my like strand ones have sold. So when I do find them, I tend to pick them up if they are, you know, a decent price. Next we have a Mr. Donut coffee mug. I found this at a yard sale. I paid $1 for it, and that sold for $19.99. Again, with mugs, some of them sell, some of them don't, some of them sell quick, some of them sit. Just, again, all depends on what people are looking for. This one was a really nice one though, like very, very thick and nice quality. Next we have a Daffy Duck as Frankenstein plush. Won him at an auction. I think I paid $1 for him. He did still have a tag, and that sold for $15.99. And then the last thing for this cha-ching was a set of Victorian looking floral salt and pepper shakers that sold for $12.99. So that is everything for this cha-ching. Let's see, anything that I have to talk about. I do feel, and I don't know if I mentioned it in my last cha-ching, but I do feel like there is an uptick in returns lately. Not sure why. So, I mean, it kind of, you know, sucks obviously when someone wants to return something, you know, if it doesn't like fit. It seems like it's more like clothes or like wearable type of items is what people are returning. So, I mean, that kind of sucks, especially like when you have measurements in your listings and stuff like that. But it's understandable. Things happen. I mean, you know, you can't fault the person because it doesn't fit them type of thing. You can not accept returns, but the chances are this is what's going to happen. If you don't accept returns and someone wants to return something because it doesn't fit, they'll just open an INAD, an item not as described, which forces a return to open. So you can say you don't accept returns, but once they open up an INAD, eBay's going to make you accept that return. So you're going to have to pay to have them ship it back, or, you know, let them keep the item and their money. You'll have to refund them their money. So it's like, I feel like if you don't accept returns, it's kind of a lose-lose situation, because you know, most people who know how to get around people who don't accept returns is to open an INAD. So I just feel like, you know, you're going to lose out regardless, and you're going to lose by having to pay for that shipping label for them to send it back. So you're going to, you know, be losing more. So if you accept a return, you know, they have to, your buyer is going to be paying to ship the item back. So, you know, all you have to do is get your item back and relist your item, instead of them opening up a return, having to pay for them to ship it back, and the whole 9 yards. I've just felt like it's become easier to just let people, you know, return their items on, you know, having them pay for the return label. For a while, I wasn't accepting returns, but so many people were just doing INADs that it was like, what am I doing? I'm just going to start accepting returns. So I do feel like since I started accepting returns and having like the buyer pay for the shipping, I have been noticing a little bit more returns because of that. But at the same time, I feel like it's not so much of a problem anymore as far as like me having to pay for them to ship it back kind of thing. I have like debated on not accepting returns on wearables like clothing and stuff like that, but again, I still feel like if I didn't, they're just gonna open an INAD and get the return anyway. So you guys have to let me know what you do. What do you do with returns? Do you fully accept returns, buyer pays for the return, shipping costs? Do you accept free returns where you pay for their shipping costs and allow returns regardless? Or do you not accept returns at all and then have to deal sometimes with people opening the INAD cases? You have to let me know down in the comments how you do it, type of thing. So just kind of wanted to talk about that just because I've been noticing a little bit of an uptick in returns, but again, it's more so wearables. And then the only other thing I guess to really talk about is, what is today? Today is February 11th. I do feel like lately sales have slowed down a little bit. I'm not like really concerned. Sometimes I don't list every single day because I don't have time. Some days I devote strictly to recording YouTube videos and editing, and that takes up like most of my day, and so I don't have time to sit down and photograph things and list things and that kind of thing. So, but I do have a lot of inventory listed. I have a lot of inventory to list, so I'm not really concerned by that aspect. A lot of times I feel like people who, or maybe like newer to eBay, and they're not getting sales or feel like sales are slow, they just automatically like think like, you know, when you list something it's gonna sell like right away, and that's not the case. Sometimes it takes a while for something to sell. I mean, think of all of the millions of listings on eBay. Like, you are looking for that specific person who is after this specific thing in this specific color, size, that kind of thing, condition, what have you. So finding that right buyer takes time. It's not always a list it and it sells right away type of situation. Some things just take time. So, you know, I'm not like overly concerned about it, but just wanted to make mention that sales are slightly slow for me currently. So you have to let me know too down in the comments if sales are slow for you, or if you're doing really good right now. For as far as suggestions for that, things that I could improve upon to potentially get more sales, I would give the advice to myself and to anyone else would be to, you know, get things listed. Find the time to get things listed. Obviously, the more things you have listed, the more chance you're gonna be selling something every day, and you know, there's more people looking at your stuff if they're looking for that specific thing that you listed. Also sending out offers on things that you have watchers on can potentially get you some more sales as well. So those are just like 2 things obviously to do to potentially get a couple more sales coming your way. So today I'm doing a whole lot of, you know, YouTube recording and editing, so I'll get to listing some more stuff tomorrow, and hopefully that, you know, gets a little bit of an uptick going. So we'll see next time I do a CHING video if, you know, sales have gotten better and that kind of thing. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this one. You'll have to let me know what you thought down in the comments, and I will see you next time.